ola min hamidbar mizot ola hamidbar dodili vani lo haroeh bashoshanim dodili mekuteret moru levona moru levona nodili vanilo haroeh bashoshanim dodili. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is so good to see all of you and to be here together in the sanctuary at 5200 Old Mill Road, as well as those of you who are joining us on Zoom or on YouTube. Together, we are one Kehila Kadosha, one holy community tonight. And I am very pleased that we have joining us tonight, as we do about every month or so, with a little break after the High Holy Days. We have Maestro Bob Nance, who is supporting our musical prayer tonight. It's always great having you with us. And let us continue. Let us turn to page 128. We're already there. Are we already? Yes, we are. Hine Matov on page 128. How good it is for us to be together. Hine Matov. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achyot gam yachad. Hine Matov, Hine Matov, Hine Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achyot gam yachad. Hine Matov, Hine Matov, Hine Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is for all of us sisters and brothers and moms and dads and grandparents and grandkids and friends and everyone, for us to be able to be together in holy community tonight. Our service will continue on page 127, back a page. And let us read together responsively on the top of page 127. I'll begin. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. Together, so we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. Here we are on the brink of Shabbat, and before we had services tonight, at 5:30, we had Joy Vey with an exclamation point, which is our monthly gathering of families with young and youngish kids. We had we had pre-language crawling around babies, we had toddlers, we had some older kids as well, and moms and dads and caregivers. And this is the third time we've done this, and we sing and we dance and we clap, and we've got some props that make noise, and we pray and we bless. And tonight, because it's November and the American Thanksgiving holiday is coming in a couple of weeks, we spent just a little time talking about gratitude. And so you ask, it's kind of a little scary when you ask a group of toddlers to 10-year-olds, not only what is gratitude, we got that covered, we got a good answer, but what are you grateful for? They needed a minute to think about it, so we thought about it, and Becca played something on the guitar while they were thinking, and then we got to hear what they were grateful for. They were grateful for their moms and their dads, and for school, and for being able to come here, and they were grateful for having somebody ask them, and they had a chance in a room full of people to say what they were grateful for. It was beautiful, and I now want to ask the same of you. As we prepare to leave this week behind and prepare to enter Shabbat, I'd like you to think for a moment something for which you are grateful on this Erev Shabbat. May the joy, may the excitement, may the gratitude that flows from these blessings be with you and carry you into Shabbat and in the week to come. I'd now would like to invite Mimi and Don Zellman to the Bema, and we will continue on page 120 as we prepare to light the candles for Shabbat. They warm us, they light this dark night now that we're back on standard time, yay. And they will make the official, our entry into Shabbat official. So we will continue on page 120. Tonight we're going to light, and we're going to say the English blessing.
Oh, he was going to do the English, right?
And then we're going to sing
Then
together.
the English after that, right?
No, we're going to light English, and then we're all going to sing.
Light English.
Yeah. Excellent. There you go.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher tijanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahat mikner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, you can't be seated.
Why?
I need you to kind of take a couple steps this way.
Uh-oh.
Okay. You too. And why don't you stand next to Mimi? I'm thinking about you guys standing next to each other, and I'm thinking about days when you might have stood next to each other in a room full of people, maybe in a Jewish space, maybe with a little like something over you.
Uh-oh.
And we are here because very, very soon, not tonight, I understand, but very, very soon, the two of you will be celebrating your 50th wedding anniversary. Do I have that right?
You're right.
We got it right. Okay, this is great. And so I on behalf of the congregation and this community of people who has just embraced you, and we're so glad you are here with us, I would like to offer you a blessing for your 50th anniversary. Is that okay?
I was
No.
preferring Cadillac.
Well, we can talk later.
Okay.
Maybe your kids can help with
Oh.
that.
Maybe.
All right. Well, let me offer this blessing to you from our community. It is such an honor to stand with you here and virtually on the occasion of your 50th wedding anniversary. Wow, 50 years. You're
10.
plus what?
I was 10.
You were 10 years old. We should have a talk. I can't wait to hear this story. Back then, yeah. All right. Your 5 decades of marriage are an inspiration to anyone who has loved, to anyone who is committed to build a life with another person. And it is the foundation of the beautiful family you have created. In the gift of poetry that Robert Browning has left us, we find this beautiful invitation. Grow old with me. The best is yet to be. The last of life for which the first was made. Our times are in his hand, who said, a whole I planned. Youth shows but half. Trust God, see all, nor be afraid. And from our Jewish tradition, now that we've had the Scottish tradition, from our Jewish tradition, I'd like to offer you the Birkat Kohanim. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. May God look, Ya'er Adonai panav alecha v'chunecha. May God look kindly upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bestow favor upon you and give you peace and give you many, many more years of joyous living together.
Thank you.
Can you hear Ratzon? May it be God's will.
For another 50.
Another 50. May I give you a hug?
Yes, you can.
Oh,
Thank you.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Now you can be seated. They thought they were just going to light the candles. Our service will continue on page 138 with the prayer Lecha Dodi, the prayer that when we hear it, we are reminded, whether it's the first time or whether it is the 50 years times 365th time, that we are seeing our beloved. That is the experience of being reunited in Shabbat. So we will sing Lecha Dodi on page 138. We will sing verses 1, 5, and 9. And when we get to the last verse, we will rise and turn and face the open door and send our Shabbos joy out into the world so that it can go where it is needed most. We have so much we can spare, right? Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Ishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shemu tiferet ve'hitila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri ki ba'orech kumi ori shir daberi. Kavod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam besimcha uvetzola toch emunei ad segula. Boi kala Lecha Likrat kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela lecha dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Let us take a moment and greet one another with Shabbos joy. And go ahead and turn, if you will, back towards Samara and to Sam. And we'll say hello to everyone at home. I know they're waving back. We can't see them. We know it's true. Thanks, Mom, for waving. All right. There we go. And we will turn now to page 144. We'll remain standing as you're able for Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah Melmad yivrach cherotei ve'yamlik malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon u'chayed kol beit Yisrael Bagala bagala uvrizman kariv v'imeru amen. Yehesh mei Rabba mevorach le'alamu al me'al maya yitbarach Yitbarak v'ishtabach v'yitpar v'yitnoram v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemed kudesha richu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush bechada v'nechemata damiran be'alma Veimeru, Amen. Yai la 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 yai la la yai la 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 yai la yai la la yai la 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 yai la la yai la la yai la 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 yai 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 la 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 Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach Baruch Adonai hamevorach hamevorach leolam vaed hamevorach hamevorach leolam vaed. You may be seated. This week, we remember Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass in 1938, which marked the beginning of the Shoah. And tonight, in memory of Kristallnacht, I would like to offer this poem in prayer by Alden Salovey. Tears of crystal, tears of broken glass. My tears are crystal and broken glass. They sparkle, they cut, they heal, they wound. They are daybreak and midnight, hymn and dirge, joyous celebration and lonely mourning. My tears catch your divine light, prisms casting colors across my days and on my hands. I pray to hold them gently, with dignity, with honor. I am one of your children, one of those you love, comforted knowing that I too am one for whom you cry, tears of crystal, tears of broken glass. Let us turn to page 149. And let us read together at the bottom of the page the blessing for the arrival of evening. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim. We'll turn now to page 151 and 150 actually. And tonight we will join together in the blessing Ahavat Olam, which is the blessing for which we share gratitude for the covenant, the relationship that our people has with God and God has with us, expressed particularly through the Torah and the mitzvot, the ways of living that God has given us. And tonight I'd like to introduce a new setting of Ahavat Olam, if I may. A good friend of mine who was in my rabbinical school class in Los Angeles, so there were 7 of us, so I got to know him very well, he is a rabbi in Washington, D.C., and is an amazing Jewish musician with a growing national reputation. His name is Noah Diamondstein, and he, if you they feature him on Jewish Rock Radio. He's there, and he's in Apple Music. But he has actually just released an album of just some amazing Jewish music. Some of it liturgical, so that means it can kind of be sung in services, and some of it not. But he is a very gifted songwriter, an amazing instrumentalist, and a lovely singer. And so I would like tonight for us to experience for the first time his setting of Ahavat Olam. You will find the words on page 150. Ahavat Olam Beit Israel Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negeh yomam ve'layla. Ve'avtacha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negeh ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה, אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. אוהב עמו ישראל. אוהב עמו ישראל. Isn't that a beautiful tune? And it's really singable. I hope we get to learn it together. All right. Our service will continue on page 164. No, I'm so excited I jumped ahead way down in the service. We're going to continue on page 152. Please rise as you are able for Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. We continue on the next page. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצטווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. We turn now to page 158. And let us join together in our people's song of liberation, of deliverance from oppression, Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha va'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot, Osef ele, Micha Mocha va'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar b'kodesh. We continue now on page 160. And let us read together the blessing for God's offering of a shelter of peace to each of us. Hashkivenu. Together, grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow.
distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. And now we will turn to page 164, and together we will pray the Amidah, the central prayer, the collection of blessings in our liturgy. And we will begin on page 164 and continue on the even pages to page 170. I'd like to invite you to take a moment of preparation to find that space from which you will be praying, which you will be offering blessing. Let us please rise as we are able for the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agite hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Kol Mel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהלוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We continue in silent prayer. Our service continues on page 180. Let us pray for peace. Ose shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. V'yimeru amen. V'yimeru amen. V'yimeru amen. V'yimeru amen. Let us turn now to page 371. We have come to the time when we pray for those who are in need of healing of body, of mind, or of spirit, and for their caregivers. We will join together in the middle of the page with the Misha Berach for healing. We will sing the first part of the blessing together, and then I will read the names of those we are praying for and invite you to share the names of those for whom you are praying. Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. On this Shabbat, we pray for the healing of Fran Adler, Rena Black, Ruth Bloom, Andrew Bosell, Pirka Batbracha, Adrienne Breitman, Roberta Butts, Todd Crego, Audrey Gerson, Leonard Massbaum, Joanne McCrory, Kaylin Nagel, Tom O'Neill, Jackie Schreier, Debbie Charay, Gary Smythe, Kaylin Nagel, and to these names we add for all these names, we pray for healing. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body and the renewal of spirit. And let us say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom. The mitzvah of hospitality and the duty we have to protect our families and our people. These values are both explored in Parashat Vayera, which we read this week. The Torah portion begins, Adonai appeared to him, that is Avraham, by the terebinths of Mamre. He was sitting at the entrance of the tent as the day grew hot. Looking up, he saw 3 figures standing near him. Perceiving this, he ran from the entrance of the tent to greet them, and bowing to the ground, he said, "My lords, if it please you, do not go on past your servant. Let a little water be brought, bathe your feet, and recline under the tree, and let me fetch a morsel of bread, that you may refresh yourselves. Then go on, seeing that you have come your servant's way." They replied, "Do as you have said." Abraham hastened into the tent to Sarah and said, "Quick, 3 sellas of choice flour, knead and make cakes." Then Abraham ran to the herd, and he took a calf, tender and choice, and gave it to a servant boy who hastened to prepare it. He took curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared and set these before them, and he waited on them under the tree as they ate. They said to him, "Where is your wife, Sarah?" And he replied, "There, in the tent." Then one said, "I will return to you next year, and your wife Sarah shall have had a son." Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent, which was behind him. Now, Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in years. Sarah had stopped having her periods, and Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "Now that I've lost the ability, am I to have enjoyment with my husband so old?" It said it right here. Then Adonai said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh, saying, 'Shall I in truth bear a child, old as I am?' Is anything too wondrous for Adonai? I will return to you at the same time, the same season next year, and Sarah shall have a son." Sarah lied, saying, "I did not laugh," for she was frightened. Came the reply, "You did laugh." The agents set out from there and looked down towards Sodom, Abraham walking with them to see them off. It is from these verses that we receive the mitzvah of haknasat orchim, hospitality. Abraham and Sarah had no idea who these strangers were. It didn't really matter. They were not of their tribe, and most definitely not a party to the brit God had just made with them. But it didn't matter because they were to offer hospitality. The unresolved question at this point in the Jewish story is, will Abraham's specific relationship to God and the ensuing responsibilities cut him off from others in the world? The Midrash continues with a description of the approaching men. Rabbi Levi said,
One of them had an appearance of a Saracen, another the appearance of a Nabatean, and the last one an Arab. Rabbi Joshua Makudis writes, here, Abraham does not know that these individuals are manifestations of the divine, but rather he sees tribal members who are different from him. Though Abraham has taken on a new identity as the leader of a nation, he is not cut off from the world. He is able to engage and interact with others. The Midrash imagines an Abraham who fears what is to come, but finds relief in what stays the same. He can still host travelers, even though he has changed. As these strangers approach, Abraham does not run into his tent and close the flap, nor does he respond with aggression. Instead, he calls Sarah to make cake from the good flour to offer these travelers. And these apparently aren't just travelers. They tell Sarah that she will bear a child in the coming year. And after she laughs, God speaks directly to Abraham, asking about Sarah's laughter. God then repeats what the travelers had said to them, validating its truthfulness. Abraham and Sarah are rewarded for their hospitality by receiving some words of prophecy from their guests, which God confirms immediately. Parshat Vayera introduces us indeed to the mitzvah hospitality, which we see again in the Torah that God reveals to Moses. We are to welcome the stranger, care for the orphan and the widow. And much of our call to repair the world has to do with restoring justice to humanity. To be Jewish is to offer hospitality and to care about the well-being of others. Later in Vayera, we encounter a text that seems troubling when compared to the vision of Abraham running out from his tent in welcome. In fact, you could almost wonder how it is that they are in the same Torah portion. After Isaac is born, we read, the child grew up and was weaned, and Abraham had a great feast day that Isaac was weaned. Sarah saw the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham playing. Sarah said to Abraham, cast out that slave woman and her son, for the son of that slave shall not share in the inheritance with my son Isaac. The matter distressed Abraham greatly, for it concerned a son of his. But God said to Abraham, do not be distressed over the boy or your slave. Whatever Sarah tells you to do, do as she says, for it is through Isaac that offspring shall be continued for you. As for the son of the slave woman, I will make a nation of him too, for he is your seed. Early the next morning, Abraham took some bread and a skin of water, and he gave them to Hagar. He placed them over her shoulder together with her child, and he sent her away. And she wandered about in the wilderness of Beersheba. Wary of the possibility that Ishmael, Abraham's firstborn, would supplant Isaac, Sarah demands that Abraham expel Ishmael and Hagar from their protection in their tribal encampment, and Abraham does so. What a profound counterpoint to Abraham's and Sarah's welcoming of the travelers. These stories of Abraham and Sarah present us with two critical questions of great moral importance. Whom do we cast out? And whom do we embrace? How do we respond when we see a person on the street who asks us for money? Even if we can't give them money, how do we interact with them personally? Do we avert our eyes and try to ignore them? Or if we're in our car at an intersection, do we just somehow not see them standing there with a sign? Do we say a defensive sorry and just keep walking? Do we acknowledge, even to ourselves, their humanity? How do we treat other Jews whose customs and observance are different than ours? How do we respond to Jewish groups who hold different views regarding matters that are very important to us as Reformed Jews? Do we welcome them? Do we find points of agreement? Or do we take pride in our enlightenment and write them off as irrelevant to our lives? How do we live out the Jewish value of Klal Israel, caring for the whole Jewish community? Let me be very, very clear. I am asking myself each of these questions as much as I am asking them of you. And speaking of Israel, the state of Israel has just elected a new government. The next prime minister, who was the last prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has selected Itamar Ben-Gvir as a coalition partner. Ben-Gvir's party is called Otzmat Yehudut, which means Jewish strength. And he has spoken publicly about deporting Arab Israelis, that is, Arab people who are citizens of Israel, if they are disloyal, which apparently includes nonviolent opposition to the government. It is not at all clear what being disloyal means, but it sounds a lot like exercising free speech to criticize the government, something Jewish Israeli citizens have an unequivocal right to do. This political development in Israel has a particular poignancy in light of Vayera. Abraham, the progenitor of the Jewish people, who is also the father of Ishmael, from whom the Arab peoples are descended, according to Jewish and Muslim tradition. And Abraham cast out Ishmael and Hagar to protect his family and his people. Whom do we embrace and whom do we cast out? The Torah clearly calls us to be open to connection with others and to be hospitable to them when possible. But Abraham's behavior demonstrates that loving and fearing are two sides of a coin. Both Jewish and Muslim traditions tell a story that happens many years after Hagar and Ishmael are banished to wander in the wilderness. Here is the Jewish version. Abraham comes to pay a visit to the house of Ishmael. And he comes upon Ishmael's wife. He said to her, "Where is Ishmael?" And she said to him, "He and his mother went to graze the camels in the wilderness." He said to her, "Give me a little bread and water, for I am terribly faint from the journey through the desert." Does this sound familiar? She brought him bread and water and gave them to him. Abraham arose and prayed to the Holy Blessed One for his son, and Ishmael's house became filled with all good things of the various blessings. And then Abraham left without seeing his son. But when Ishmael came home, his wife told him what had occurred. And Ishmael knew that his father's love and compassion for him remained, as it is said in Psalms, like a father has compassion for his children. Abraham, the man who cast out his son, reaches out to him but misses him. Yet he blesses the house of Ishmael. In our personal struggles with welcoming and with setting others apart, may we be influenced by the wisdom and the growth of our Father Abraham Avinu. Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to invite Ronnie Greenberg to the Bima for some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. Please join us again tomorrow morning for Shabbat service at 9:45 a.m. The temple is selling frozen pounds of corned beef for $19.26 per pound. We have to charge sales tax. Sorry. Please contact the temple office to pay and arrange pickup. We are no longer selling bread. Save the date for the return of the Thanksgiving Interfaith Service on November 22nd at 7 p.m., followed by a reception. There will be many churches here and an interfaith choir led by Maestro Nance, and it will be a beautiful evening. So I hope that you plan to attend. This is a reminder that we will not be having services in 2 weeks, November 25th and 6th, as that is Thanksgiving weekend. Thank you to our security officer, Todd, tonight, and to Samara and Sam. Hi, Sam. Samara and Sam for running our Zoom, and to Mike Rush for ushering. And of course, to Rabbi Meir for a beautiful service. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And just another word about the Interfaith Thanksgiving service. It's kind of my life right now. It's going to be amazing. And we are going to be welcoming many, many people from the Fort Wayne community here. And so it's very, very exciting. And we are also going to have a really amazing blowout reception. We would know it as an oneg, but we don't want to confuse them. So we'll say it's a reception. And John Tam is organizing that. And if you are so moved to want to help, we can use help either baking or procuring food or helping with setup or cleanup. So you can, if you feel inspired in any way to do this, please talk to John Tam. He's here tonight, or you can be in touch with him by email or by phone after Shabbat. And the last thing, please plan to stay for a lovely festive oneg in honor of our anniversary couple, which will be taking place immediately following the service in the Resource Center. We'll go in there for Kiddush and Motzi. All right, let us turn now to page 586. Let us please rise as we are able for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula le'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. Va'anaknu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. You may be seated.
We turn now to page 598. We have come to the time when we remember those who have died either recently or in this season in years past. I will read our community's Kaddish list and then invite you to add the names of anyone you are remembering this Shabbat. This Shabbat continues the period of Shana, the death within the past year of Vicki Sowers, Jennifer Cohen, Dr. Jerry Lesson, Norman Philip Nachum Pincus, Ethel Schnitt, Macon Dale Traxler, Adria Sachs, Rivka Swedler, David Zemont, Steve Weitzman, Asher Lecklander Stoll. And this Shabbat marks the yahrzeit, the anniversary of death of Solomon Sowell Blyfield, Fanny Salen Bronstein, Kathy Chapman, Sally Kramer, Robert Edgar, Boris Epstein, Rose Ewing, Isolina Behar Defarstein, Minnie Fiedler, Dvoria Finkelstein, Hannah Finkelstein, Ita Finkelstein, Kiesel Finkelstein, Lieb Finkelstein, Meyer Finkelstein, Yankel Finkelstein. Philip Flora, Jenny Gilbert, Annette Glazer, Mark Gluklik, Joseph Golden, Daisy Hefter, Mendel Himmelstein, Melvin Krell, Mabel H. Quatnez, Alan Quatnez, Isidore Landy, Henrietta Levy, Alan Lichtenberg, Rachel Lipp, Adolph Myers, Frank Mullins, David B. Nelson, Gertrude Neuschultz, Art Perlman, Jacob Portman, Irving J. Pressman, Samuel Ruderman, Dorothy Hassan Schiller, Bessie Schmitz, Haskell Schultz, David Lester Smith, Isaac Steiber, Jacob Sunshine, Leo Sunshine, Samuel Tillinger, Evangeline Weil, Bernica Weinberg, Nathaniel S. Wittenberg, Corrine H. Wittenberg. And to these names we add, for all these names and the names in our hearts, the names of those who perished in the Shoah, including the children of the Finkelstein family, whose names we read, and all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. Let us rise in solidarity as a community to recite Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, be'elma divra cherote ve'amlik malchute, v'chayachon v'yomachon v'chaye dekol beit Israel, bagala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabbah mavarach leolam ulmei almaya. Yitbarach v'ishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitnoram v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'irshirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'elma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. You may be seated. Let us turn now to page 626 and let us close our service with Ein Kelohenu. There is none like our God. 626. Ein Kelohenu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kamalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodela Eloheinu, Nodela Adonenu, Nodela Malkeinu, Nodela Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Thank you, Robert and Nance, for being here tonight. Shabbat Shalom.